mise en place. That's the French word for putting everything in its place. So first, we're doing these homemade hamburger buns with this recipe that's called light brioche buns. And to start with, we need to activate some yeast. I have some warm water, some warm milk, and a couple of tablespoons of sugar. And I'm going to add this 2 teaspoons of yeast. So the rest of our ingredients, we have 3½ cups of all-purpose flour. I have, 1½ teaspoons of salt. I have 2 large eggs and 5 tablespoons of butter. And a little bit of sesame seeds for the buns when we're done. All right, so we're going to get started. I'm going to whisk in the salt into the flour. And then I'm going to start crumbling all this butter into the flour by hand. I don't have a pastry cutter, or I could do it that way. You want little bitty pea-sized crumbs or smaller. So my yeast is all foamed up. It's been about 10 minutes. I'm going to add that to the flour. And I've beaten the 2 eggs. Add that to the flour. And we're going to stir until a dough forms. So I floured the counter, and I'm going to scrape the dough onto that and start kneading it. Okay. I'm supposed to knead it for about 8 to 10 minutes, and then it'll still be sticky. So I've been kneading for about 10 minutes. I'm going to scrape it up and set it back in the bowl to rise.
Show us what it looks like, Tommy. Pretty doughy there, isn't it? But that's what they want, right?
Yes.
Because if you used too much flour, it would be the buns would be too tough.
So kneading it forms glutens, chains of glutens, proteins. And I'm going to scrape all this off and let it rise for an hour. The mess in place. So Harry will talk at some point about making less of a mess when you cook and, about cleaning up. All right, so we've been letting our dough rise for about an hour and a half. It's risen a lot. So I'm going to take half the dough, and we're going to make hamburger buns with half, and we're going to save the other half to make something else. And that'll be in the next episode. So I've got my parchment-lined pan here. So I've rolled and pressed them into roughly hamburger bun shapes. I'm going to brush them with egg and water. And sprinkle them with sesame seeds.
Now, each one of those is a whole bun.
Yeah, we'll have to cut them in half after they're baked.
Right. So we have 4 buns.
Yeah.
We have 4 people tonight.
Yeah.
Which you will meet shortly. The other 2 you'll meet shortly.
A little sesame seeds. This would be sunflower to add that.
How hot is your oven?
I preheated the oven to 400 degrees.
And how long do they bake? Checking recipe.
15 minutes.
Okay.
All right, these have been in the oven for 15 minutes. So let's take, hit in the face with the steam. Yeah. Look at those golden juices. Let those cool and cut them in half. And with the oven off for now. So these are the buns I baked earlier and are sliced in half. And we will grill those, just to lightly toast them after we cook the buns. Cook the meat. So, how was the hamburger bun, since that was the first thing I baked today?
I really enjoyed it. It was very tender, but it was still strong enough to carry the burger. The insides of my burger tended to squirt out a little bit because I had so much stuff on it, but the burger bun itself was very good.
The hamburger buns for our hamburgers today were delicious. They were homemade by Tommy. I'm sure he's going to provide some information. Probably maybe even a little link down here at the bottom. You can go see for the recipe. And they were very yeasty. They had a very good kind of a complex flavor component to them. They weren't just your standard white bread. They had a nice little sesame seed topping on them that was very nice, well sliced, and they held up really good to the meat and didn't get soaked with juice, and they were very delicious.
Oh, the hamburger buns. Despite the extra egg that was added in the by mistake, it actually turned out well. Tommy reminded me that it seemed to him more like Mrs. Baird's bread. I still thought it was good. They were moist and they looked really good. And so it held the hamburger together, and isn't that what a bun does? So that's it.
The hamburger buns. I was pretty happy with the hamburger buns. I did say they tasted a little bit like Mrs. Baird's, mostly because of I thought of the texture and a little bit of the flavor just from the yeast. And it was all white flour. I would probably make it again with a whole wheat flour.
We played Caylus.
Kailu, if you're going to go with the French.
Caylus.
The game Caylus. Hey, it's Tommy, and thank you for watching the first episode of Please Feed the Bears. I just wanted to clear up what the schedule is for the next several episodes and tell you what's on the menu. So today is June 30th, and that is the homemade hamburger buns, the light brioche buns. And then on July 7th, we will have homemade potato chips. And on July 14th, we will have my custom hamburger recipe we're calling Tommy Burgers. And then on July 21st, we will have the cinnamon rolls, or Arroyo de Canela y Nuez. And then on the 28th, we will have our game night. And that is, we're going to be playing Caylus, as you probably saw in the little preview. And that's going to be a little unusual, different. We'll see how that works. I hope you stick around and tune in each Monday to see what we're doing. Thanks.